Hey guys, it's Chris. From real food to comic book legends come to life. Join me as I reveal 9 amazing things made by 3D printers. Number 9. Prince's Urn. When talking about some of the most important musicians of all time, Prince will no doubt be in the upper echelon of singers. The man's music is still popular, and his personality set a trend that is still honored and imitated by many. After a medical mishap, Prince died in 2016, and per his wishes, he was cremated. However, he was not put in a simple urn. Rather, his ashes were put in a scale replica of the house that he lived in, the legendary Paisley Park. And this very unique urn was made using a 3D printer. For those who don't know, Paisley Park was more than just Prince's home. He used it to create music, entertain guests, throw lavish parties. And on the urn itself, not only does it have a faithful exterior and interior to the house, it also has his love symbol number 2 on the front of it. The urn itself is on display in a foyer near Paisley Park. The house is now a museum that fans are allowed to visit. Number 8. Guns. Despite their use in terrible acts, guns are a true marvel of engineering, especially when you consider where they were in the age of black powder to where they are now in regards to their variety and range and accuracy. At one time, the idea of 3D printing a gun seemed ludicrous, mainly because the complexity of the firearms themselves could be made to look the part, but not actually act it. Indeed, the first time someone tried to make a 3D printed gun, it broke after a few fired rounds due to the explosive pressure put on the object. However, after some advances in 3D printing, more stable and able 3D printed guns are able to be used. And while this is amazing in an engineering view, it's also something that's raising major security concerns. Mainly because this means that anyone who has access to a 3D printer could use it to make a gun and then use it for unlawful purposes. And due to this, strict laws and enforcement have been put in place to try to regulate this and keep it from happening. In the UK recently, a student was actually convicted for making a 3D printed gun, as it broke their laws in regards to firearms control. Number 7. Spacecraft Parts. The beauty of 3D printing is that it can be used for a variety of things, from the simplest of creations to the most complex parts. And NASA knows this, and they've teamed up with Stratasys, a 3D printer company, to help make parts for a spacecraft that will actually take 4 men around the moon in 2023. On the spacecraft called Orion, there will be 100 3D printed parts, a first for NASA. And by Stratasys' own admission, something they take very seriously. All the parts that they make for the mission have to go through a rigorous testing process by NASA and have to be approved before they're even put onto the spacecraft. If you're curious as to why NASA would risk a potential failure to this technique, it's because 3D printed objects can be made in a variety of materials, including the hardest of metals. And it's actually cheaper to make them this way than to go through the regular means. It also means that if they take a 3D printer up into space, it would be easy to print out any needed parts and tools in an emergency. Plus, should this work, it would allow for potential faster production times and a cheaper spacecraft. Number 6. Buildings. When it comes to the construction of houses, big or small, the process has indeed evolved over the years in terms of materials used, how buildings are made for safety and stability, and how big they can get. However, for one company named Winsun, they're aiming to revolutionize the home building industry by making entire houses, even 5-story buildings, via 3D printed materials. And they've already done it multiple times. They started out this attempt in 2013, when they made 10 houses solely from 3D printed pieces. They're printed out using a mix of cement, sand, and various fibers. Then when the walls and other materials are printed out, they're put right onto the site they're building on. Plus, these houses are made from an ink comprised of demolition waste and mine tailings. So the whole process is actually much better for the environment. And since their start, they've made buildings of many different sizes, and even made a fully 3D printed office in Dubai in 2016. The process to print the houses is actually rather fast, and could truly revolutionize the construction industry if this method goes worldwide. Number 5. Guitars. While many instruments are meant to just be played, when it comes to guitars, the style of them and the make of them, it's said to help define the person playing it, which is why many musicians like to make their own personal touches to their guitars to make them stand out from the pack. To that end, a company called Odd Guitars allows buyers the freedom and choice to have a custom guitar 3D printed in whatever style, color, or feel that you want. According to their website, you can choose from a variety of choices to personalize the colors, or if you prefer a pattern of some kind, you can have that option too. You can pick the style and shape of the guitar, its size, and even the materials that'll help comprise the body and make it sound. This is not a cheap option to get a guitar, as it can cost you over $4,000 depending on how intricate you get. But for those who just want a custom guitar that's unlike any other, well, 3D printers can help you get there. Number 4. Child's drawings. Usually, the process of making a 3D printed model includes a very detailed blueprint, or a 3D model that's scaled up or down in the machine itself to ensure that the correct size and style is met. However, for one company called Crayon Creatures, they decided to take a more simplistic approach to 3D printing in order to make children very happy. If a parent wants to bring one of their children's drawings to life, all they have to do is send in a drawing from the children, and then they'll set up a 3D print of the creature, regardless of what it looks like and how detailed it is. Granted, it wouldn't be as detailed or lifelike as other 3D printed things, but it is a rare case of something being brought from paper to life. The only real catch here is that for a single figurine, it'll cost you $200, which is steep, but that's still pretty cool. Number 3. Video game prosthetic arms. In many sci-fi films and TV shows, the futuristic bionic arm, or prosthetic, is a common trope. And though humanity in this time period isn't that far as of yet in regards to fully functioning arm prosthetics that act like real arms, we are at least getting close to the looks of those arms. Open Bionics teamed up with video game studio Eidos Montreal to make a cover of their Hero Arm series that replicates a video game character bionic arm from the title Deus Ex Human Revolution. The arm is functional to an extent, allowing you to wear it over the Open Bionics base and use it as you would expect to use a prosthetic. It's hoped by many that 3D printers will allow the prosthetics industry to grow and provide more arms, legs, and other body parts to those in need, including one day being able to provide working organs to patients. Number 2. Edible-shaped chocolates. The popular series Star Trek has helped influence the world in many ways, but one piece of technology that many scientists are trying to build towards with 3D printers is that of the replicator. The replicator is a computer device where a person can just say a food or drink like Earl Grey hot, and then the item is literally created in front of your very eyes. There are some 3D printers out there that can make some kinds of food to an extent, but it's certainly not the quality or precision that the replicators of Star Trek have done. However, there are steps being taken, such as with Evan Weinstein and his cocoa press. He made it while attending the University of Pennsylvania and used his knowledge of 3D printers to make a printer himself that actually printed out chocolate in melted form and then shaped it in any design he wanted. To be clear, the machine itself doesn't make the chocolate. Weinstein himself provided the Hershey bars to be used because, of course, the printer needs something to actually print. But it's a step in the right direction, and further proof that 3D printers can work with all sorts of materials. And with other 3D printer labs that are working on making foods from basic materials, it may only be a matter of time before a true replicator is made. Number 1. Iron Man armor. Anyone who's familiar with Marvel Comics, or at the very least is familiar with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, knows that the Iron Man armor is one of the most advanced pieces of technology in the world or universe. Created by Tony Stark, it's a real suit of armor with many moving parts, weapons built into the armor, jet propulsion, and a built-in AI system that helps keep everything going. Many people in the world have made their own versions of the Iron Man armor for cosplays and props, but one man named Adam Savage decided to take this to the very next level. He decided to make a real Iron Man suit. To be clear, I don't mean a suit that works exactly like the Iron Man armor in the films, but rather, he wanted to make one that at its core would look like the Iron Man armor, be made of titanium, and thus be bulletproof and bomb-proof. However, given that titanium is a very hard material to work with, and the Iron Man armor had hundreds of parts that needed to be fit together, he found himself with a unique problem: But then he figured it out with a unique solution: 3D printing. He worked with university professors and 3D printers around the country so he could make the literal 200 plus pieces that were needed to make the Iron Man Mark II armor. He even got Marvel Studios to give him the blueprints that were used in the movie to help make the armor for Robert Downey Jr. and the 3D modelers who did the CGI for the film. As noted in his show Savage Builds, the process to make the armor, even with the help of many people around the United States, took months to make and then days to put it all together given the nature of titanium. However, once it was completed, he found himself with an armor that he could move in and resist bullets from multiple handguns and a bomb that went off a mere 3 feet away from the armor. And as if that wasn't enough, he teamed up with inventor Richard Browning to put a jetpack on the Iron Man armor, allowing it to fly in a very Iron Man kind of way. But none of this would have been possible, at least to the standards Adam Savage had, without multiple 3D printers. Thanks for watching. What did you think about these things that were made by 3D printers? What do you think will be the next amazing thing to be printed by them? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to World List, and I'll see you in the next video.